So this week I wanted to bring this opportunity to you guys. Salt box. So there is a opportunity right now for students to design a salt box, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about the history of the project and the artist behind it. So, have you seen these before? These yellow boxes are salt boxes, so they're placed throughout Baltimore City um, around the winter time, and they are used for if it gets icy out. Neighborhoods can use these as a way to melt the ice. So there's salt inside of them. So you might have one of these in your neighborhood. What we're going to do today is we're going to sketch out our design for our salt box project. And we're going to do that in a couple of ways. But first, let's look at the story behind the salt box. So this comes from Juliet Ames. She is a Baltimore artist who basically does mostly jewelry, but she kind of developed this idea for Baltimore, and it's been going strong ever since. So this is actually from her website, and I will read it out loud. I've always been charmed by the salt boxes scattered around Baltimore City. For those not familiar with these boxes, they are yellow wooden boxes with a hinged lid that are usually filled with salt to help residents when it snows. They arrive in late fall and are picked up in spring for storage and maintenance. Until this year, I'm assuming COVID-19 made sure that salt boxes are not a priority, and they are showing their wear, meaning they usually will collect them in spring to do maintenance, to sort of fix them up, repaint them, make them look nice again. But since COVID, they're looking like they're a little bit worn out, right? I've always wanted to decorate one, especially the few I see that are lacking the stenciled words salt box on the front. When I noticed the naked salt box on Roland Avenue and 36th Street in Hamden, I knew that was the one. So she basically found one that didn't have the word salt box written on it and decided to put some letters on there. So I cut the letters from recycled china, china meaning china plates, like the ones here that are blue and white, and affixed them to a plywood panel painted with OSHA official yellow. I installed her in anticipation of the winter's first snowfall, mostly for the photo op. I tweeted her out into the world and was shocked when I got a reply from Baltimore City Department of Transportation. They loved it and encouraged artists to get creative. This is the best ever outcome to me. Since that day, artists have gotten in the game to decorate more than 200 of these boxes. So she was actually on news for this, so they did a little segment that I will show you. I also gave you her website, ibreakplates.com. There you can look at salt boxes, but also her work as an artist and just information about her. And here is the link if you are going through the slides.
All right, it's a story a lot of people are talking about in the city. Salt boxes all across Baltimore have been getting a lot of use over the past few weeks, and now getting an artistic makeover.
A very special one. WJZ is live with you after this spruce-up, the Baltimore Salt Box. Hey, Paul.
Hi, Nicole. So a city inventory of these salt boxes revealed there are about 775 citywide. They're obviously positioned and meant for that if conditions are slippery, you can get some salt out of it and salt your sidewalks. Well, it turns out some are in better shape than others, and they're a perfect target for Baltimore creatives. Every week, Juliet Ames dedicates a day to her passion project.
Every Friday, yeah.
Her art must fit on a 17 by 23 inch board.
This mundane, everyday thing that just sits there, not really calling attention to itself, and now people are calling attention to it.
So let me call your attention.
Once you notice them, they're kind of everywhere. The practical, unassuming Baltimore Saltbox is a perfect canvas for Juliet's art. Other artists caught on.
I was trying to stick with just salt imagery to start, but now obviously we have to go way bigger.
Art boxes started showing up almost daily.
It's all DIY.
Some quite literal, others take a little thinking.
They're each a little different.
Yeah, they're kind of my little love letters to the city.
The only thing I would give the one artist who did the great famous shot of Divine in the dress with a gun is put a circle and a line across the gun. I don't like guns pointed to anybody, especially on Eastern Avenue.
Divine's on Eastern.
The pretzel guy.
Mr. Salty's on 33rd.
Oh, Mr. Salty, that's my neighbor Gail.
Edgar Allan,
Poe, of course.
he's on Cathedral.
It's facing the library.
The art is spreading like salt.
The boombox.
The flamingo.
Lockbox.
Citywide.
I would have never thought that the embrace of it as a Baltimore-wide art project would have happened this quickly.
I think the more art, the better. Art is what's healing Baltimore.
For his small influence in the project, John Waters is taking it with a grain of salt.
So I was honored, even though my mother always said, fools' names and fools' places always appear in public places.
So, will the art end? Nah, not likely.
I can't wait to see what people do next.
Back live now. Now, if your salt box is empty, it's important to note you just call 311, let the city know, and the Department of Transportation, which is responsible for filling these things, will come by and fill it up. Sand boxes date back to before the 1950s. We don't know when exactly that they transitioned to salt boxes, but to prove my point that all celebrities run the gamut on these salt boxes, take a look at what's on TV Hill here, guys.
We love it. We love it.
Like Marty said, forget Emmy Awards. Who needs those?
He just needed salt box.
Saltbox is top of the list.
Come on.
Top of the list.
Now, guys, I have some breaking news. I just talked to the artist. Now, there are so many of these artists doing these. I just talked to the one who did Salty Bass. I won't say everything he said, but Marty drags along this road. This artist knows Marty in a way, and he said, I thought I might do Oprah Winfrey, but I figured Marty will drive by this, so why not?
No.
I
Marty's
love
top of the
that.
list. Come on now. That's all. Paul, great piece.
Yes.
And Paul Patrick, great job editing that too.
Nobody can tell that story like you, Paul. Thank you so much.
So, if you're interested in looking at more, you can visit her website and check it out. And I also have that video on YouTube. So let's see.
Oh, it's a story.
There we go. So some things to remember when we're doing this. Anyone is welcome to do the Salt Box. Community Project welcomes artists of all skill levels to participate. They're asking that you don't advertise your business or a business. This is art. It's not a billboard. Keep the subject matter close to salt or all things Baltimore. No offensive content, please. If you wouldn't show it to your grandmother, don't put it on the Salt Box. So thinking about this, this is the form, the final design form that I have in as a PDF in the Google Classroom. But first, let's do some research. So think about how we could research things about Baltimore, but also if you want to see other designs, if you click on that research, it will take you to a Google link for the Baltimore designs for salt boxes. But if you think about what we could do for Baltimore, I've just been brainstorming some ideas for me. And since I've gotten a dog recently, I've been going and finding more parks and small gardens in neighborhoods and things like that. So I'm thinking of maybe doing it about the green spaces in Baltimore. But sometimes it's good to draw a web of ideas, which you probably have done in writing class, in ELA. But that might help you generate some ideas, right? And then you're going to sketch out your ideas before you actually start on this final paper, right? So what I would do is get some paper, use a notebook, do some drawings. You can also look at imagery online. So if you think of things like kinetic sculpture race, because I think about that with Baltimore's pretty well known for that, and I have a memory of that. You could easily search up certain imagery and draw it from observation. If you're interested, you can also use Sketch.io for that too. Once you feel good, you're going to create your final design. And that's in a PDF, design your own salt box in the Google Classroom. So again, some things to think about: people, places, objects, maybe crabs or food or places that you enjoy. Ravens, Orioles, colleges, homes, neighborhoods, the idea of like Hun. So just thinking about, things that you think about when you think about Baltimore. All right. As far as directions go in Google Classroom, same thing. Brainstorm ideas, sketch it out, and then upload your final design. If it's not quite completed and you need feedback, that's what we're going to do next week. And then there is a video also on Sketch.io if you're interested in using that as a platform for making this week. I look forward to seeing your work.